Sign up to Council's disaster and weather event warning system. Receive alerts about emergency news, severe weather events and other public safety alerts via SMS or email. Registering to the disaster messaging system is free. To register, visit Gladstone Regional Council's Region Watch website and click on the Register for Warnings button. Get ready, Gladstone. Take the steps to protect what's most important to you. Let's be better prepared and protected for emergencies and disasters.
Well, good morning. The time being 9 a.m, I declare open the general meeting for the Gladstone Regional Council for Tuesday, the 6th of February 2024. I'll call for apologies. We have all councillors present, but for those in the gallery and watching online, Councillor Goodluck is teamsing in online and not present in the gallery this morning. Thank you, Councillor Goodluck. The next item on the agenda, councillors, is our messages of condolence. Councillor O'Grady, I believe you have a message of condolence.
Yeah, thank you, Mr Mayor. I have a message of condolence today to Thelma May Streeter. She was a small. So Thelma was very instrumental in doing a lot of things in the Calliope area. She was born on the 6th of the 10th, 1936 and passed away on the 4th of the 1st, 24. There were 5 generations of the family, which were the small family, had been educated at Calliope State School from when it was first opened in 1872. Thelma loved school and all she had to do was to walk across the railway line and then she was there. She worked hard and passed the scholarship examination. However, her parents did not have money for her to go any further. Also, 2 weeks after her 21st birthday, Thelma married Claude in Gladstone and they honeymooned and borrowed a rickety old caravan travelling up the coast to Cairns. During the years living in Calliope, they had a busy life and with businesses and schools. Thelma was in the background working with Claude with his involvement in establishing and maintaining the Calliope Golf Club, now known today as Calliope Country Club. This went on for 23 years. Thelma did try hitting the little white ball, but it wasn't her thing. 30 years ago, Thelma was one of the founding members that established Calliope Central Bowls Club, and helping Claude, she was instrumental in the succession operation from early years. Thelma was relentless in her volunteering and in all areas, especially in the kitchen, where she used to help her family cook meals every Saturday night. She was also had steamed pudding to go with every meal. When the poker machines were installed, Thelma put the first coin in and continued to indulge in an occupational flutter. She was awarded Life Member in 2012 for her services to the club. Thelma had five girls and one boy, so Carol and Kim were born whilst they were living in Gladstone. Robin, Glenda and Helen arrived while living in Bloomfield Street in Calliope, and finally the much-loved awaited arrival when Thelma was 40 was Jeffrey, so that would completed the 6 children. Claude and Thelma were blessed with 11 grandchildren and only one grandsons, but only one granddaughter. Thelma and Claude had been together for 70 years and married for 66. They had 9 great-grandchildren who will be told many stories of a very loving, caring, patient, selfless lady who was proud to be their mama as well. Thank you.
Any further messages of condolence, councillors? No, we'll move to the next item on the agenda, which is our prior notification of conflicts of interest. No?
No prior notifications.
I wouldn't have thought so. It's a very quick agenda this morning. Okay, councillors, the next item on the agenda is the Mayor's statement on current issues. And of course, I'd like to acknowledge our Australia Day Award winners at our Australia Day citizenship ceremony as well. Firstly, we welcome 43 new Australian residents, Australian citizens and Gladstone region residents. So fantastic to welcome our new citizens, and great to see they've chosen the Gladstone region as their home. Our award winners for Citizen of the Year was Ron Streeter. Young Citizen of the Year, Abishka Murali. Sport and Recreation Award went to Bill Webb. The Young People Sport and Recreation Award went to Ethan Sharp. Our Arts and Culture Award to Annie Hooper. The Community Event or Initiative Award went to the Combined Services Touch Football Day. The Community Volunteer Award, Josie Meng, on a huge list of nominees. That just goes to show how many of our local community members are involved in volunteering, which makes our community such a great place to live. And well done to Josie, but also to all the nominees in all the categories. The Mayor's Community Champion was Ron and Patricia Doherty, and the Mayor's Young Community Champion is Sid Crawshaw. So congratulations to all the nominees and to all the winners of our Gladstone Region Australia Day Awards. On the 29th of January, we welcomed our new 2024 apprentices and trainees, 22 new trainees and apprentices, which brings a total to around about 100 since 2019, which is fantastic to see our council training the next generation, but also retraining some of our existing staff and older generation as well, allowing them the opportunity to upskill with our trainees and apprenticeship program. It's a fantastic program, and I'm proud that our council has ramped up our involvement in training our apprentices and trainees. And of course, last night we welcomed our new youth council, and we'll have more information on our youth council. We had our meet and greet last night at the front of the council chambers. If anyone was driving up Gandoon Street and wondered what was going on, it was our youth council. We have 9 new members and 2 returning members to our youth council. So I'm looking forward to seeing the information and recommendations come back from our youth council over the next 12 months. Thank you, councillors. That's the Mayor's statement on current issues. The next item is G2, confirmation of the minutes. G2.1. The confirmation of the general meeting minutes for the 16th of January 2024. Can I have a mover, please? Thank you, Councillor Brentwaite. Seconded, Councillor Cameron. No business arising. I put the motion that it's a true and correct record. All in favour? Thank you. And Councillor Goodluck. Do need to see that hand. Thank you. That's carried. G2.2, councillors, is the confirmation of the special meeting for the 23rd of January 2024. Mover, please. Move, Councillor Churchill. Seconded, Councillor Henson. No business arising. True and correct record. All in favour? Thank you, that's carried as well. Councillors, we have no deputations this morning, so I'll move into our officers' reports. And our first officers' report is G4.1, the 2023-24 Operational Plan Quarter 2 Performance Report, and I'll hand over to our General Manager of People and Strategy, Carly Quinn, and welcome Kim Markson to the table as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning, councillors. Well, it's our pleasure again to present the quarterly report for Council's operational plan. This report covers the period Quarter 2, which is October to December last year. And as the Mayor mentioned, I have Kim Markson, our Acting Manager of Strategy and Improvement with us, her and her team collate all of this data from right across the business for this report. So All 9 initiatives are on track for delivery this year, and on average, the initiatives progressed 33% in the quarter, so it was a good quarter for progress, particularly leading into that Christmas period, which can be sometimes challenging to get traction on projects if they require a lot of collaboration and people are on leave. So really pleasing to see that amount of progress in the quarter. The annual plan our annual plan supports the 5-year delivery of our corporate plan, and as usual, it has a number of highlights throughout the report. So I'll just share a couple of those exciting ones with you. The Mount Larkin Pool was reopened. The festive season events were held successfully with the Mayor's Carol and the New Year's Eve event. Council's environment management system was updated, and we also delivered the second LGAQ conference to be held in Gladstone. As the Mayor mentioned, we welcomed 22 new apprentices to our apprentices and trainees to our program, which brings our current cohort to a total of 38. So 100, as the Mayor mentioned, over the past few years, but 38 in total within the business right now. Many of our people and external stakeholders participated in an extremely well-managed bushfire response when we responded to 43,000 hectares across the southern region being burnt in November. 72% of our employees responded in our culture remeasure, and the results show that we are moving a needle towards our constructive culture that we're looking for in every single one of the measures that we measured. So that was a really good outcome as well for our people. We hit the 1-year milestone on our economic transition roadmap, and it's great to see that we were able to celebrate 71% of all of the actions have been initiated and activated in just the first year of a 10-year plan. So well and truly on track to progress that project as well. We secured $16.4 million worth of external funding, and we had over 30,000 people through the doors of the GECC. So if you'd like to see any more of the successes or the challenges that we experienced in the last quarter, this is a great report, and I recommend it for your endorsement.
Thank you, Carly. Questions to the General Manager, please. Councillor O'Grady.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Carly, I was just wondering, I wasn't in town the weekend of the carols, and I was just wondering how that went, because we had the street party and collaborated that together. So I was just wondering how that went and how it was received by the community.
Thought that was someone there. Our General Manager of Community and Lifestyle, Kylie Lee, would probably have a lot more context, and she is online, so instead of me telling you what I've heard, I'll let her share.
We might need to repeat the question because I think she just joined.
Oh,
Hi,
okay.
Kylie, welcome. Councillor O'Grady has a question for you on the carols and the Christmas street party. Over to you, Councillor O'Grady.
Good morning.
Good morning. Now, I was just wondering how, because we did collaborate at the street party and the carols, I was just wondering how that went and what feedback we got, whether we got any feedback from the community at all about that event. Unfortunately, I was unable to attend.
Yeah, we had, I think there was about 5,000 people there, Councillor O'Grady, so we definitely had a strong attendance from the community. We had some positive feedback there. It's also a better use of our council resources as well. So we did have a budgetary saving from combining the resources over from the two events into the one. So from our debrief, we felt that it was a positive event. We just need to now be able to control the weather.
Thank you. Kylie, will there be I know the team have already had a debrief, but there'll be something come back to the boardroom. I mean, I know it was a very successful event, and combining them did have its plus absolute benefits for sure. But I know that I did get some feedback that would have been nice to have the street party as well. And I know the reason we combined them is because it's often the same people attending two events very close together. I just think it'd be nice to have a report come back for council to have a look at. If it's not a Christmas street party, another kind of street party in Gundoon Street, I'm sure will be welcomed by the traders, maybe at a different time of the year.
Yeah, no, I'm more than happy to bring a report back, Mr. Mayor. I can bring it to a councillor information session in March, if that suits.
April would be lovely.
No problem.
Unfortunately, I'm not going to be here, but I might tune in.
Thank you. Councillor O'Grady, any further questions, please? Councillor Hanson.
Yeah, just one question on page 18 of 30, fleet. And we're implementing a system into our fleet. And we've ticked off, we have released a tender for a contractor. Was there many people that put in for that, and is it a local contractor that's doing that?
I'm not sure if John has any extra context on that, but that is for the...
Fleet interests me, as you well know.
Yes, yes. The tender is for the software, so it
Yeah,
may not
I know,
be...
I know
yeah,
it is. So it may not be local.
Be a local supplier.
I'm just
but
wondering, was it a big field that we saw, or was it a...
Off the top of my head,
supplier,
I've just filled only about 3 or 4 types of suppliers for that. And the preferred supplier is a common one that people use. So it's probably all I can talk about that at this point in time.
And can I just say one more thing? It's not even related to this, but it is related to fleet. When I leave here, can you consider down the track of opening up the tendering system for our new fleet to all of the car dealers here in town? Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Hanson. Thank you, Councillor Hanson. You can say that 3 more times in the next 3 meetings. Councillor Churchill, do you have a question?
Yeah, thanks, Matt. I've got a couple, as you would expect, and I'm pleased that Councillor Hanson got that in, though. Yeah, very impressive report, and congratulations on the progress. But I wanted to ask the question again, and I've asked it a few times in the past, and I suppose it also leads into the next agenda item, which is the Audit, Risk and Improvement Committee, in relation to information management. And you've got it indicating in there on track. I'd just like to know, you said we have completed meetings with information owners, trying to understand the ownership of the information. And my reference is more about the intellectual property, who owns that intellectual property when it becomes within the ambit of the Gladstone Regional Council. And probably in your second dot point where you're indicating we're improving security, and as you would be well aware from previous discussions, is about that protection of property and the cyberspace and what's going on in the world of fraud and corruption. So my question appropriately is, I'm just trying to get some comfort as to who owns the information, the IP, when people provide it to this council, and to what degree do we have in being able to make sure that it's safe and secure, and we only release appropriate, unless it can be scammed or spammed or whatever else they do in that cyberspace world, that we only release information that is eligible to be released by approval of the owner.
Thank you, Councillor Churchill. Those questions are exactly what this project's about. We're very fortunate to have Tanya Wally, the Manager of Governance at the table, who's the project lead for that item, so I might defer to her.
Okay. Councillor Churchill, with regards to the information asset register that we put together, it was really looking at all of the information held internally across council. So we met with every team to discuss the information that they collect and manage. And as part of that process, we examined what information was appropriate to be released to the public and what contained personal information that we may have to safeguard. With regards to the release of information, we do an assessment on that information before it's released, and anything that contains personal information, names, addresses, things like that, unless it fits into one of the exceptions in the Information Privacy Act, we redact that information or withhold it. So we do have quite rigorous processes around that. Where we want to get to is a stage where we're more proactively releasing information to the community. So there's more information out there, but safeguarding people's privacy as well. Everyone owns their own personal information, so people are able to make applications to council to find out what sort of personal information we hold on them, and they can request amendments to that if they feel it's necessary. So this project is really about improving how we store our information to protect people's privacy and also to find more efficiencies.
Okay, thank you for that. It's just that when in your report you indicated 4% under target progress, so I'm not quite sure whether we've done 4% of the 100% or whether it's 4% of some estimate or guesstimate. But anyway, if it's on track. And I know I was comforted previously because I think the The CEO clearly indicated to me that we're being very proactive in the cyberspace area because that was at a time when a number, as we would all know, a number of the major corporates were attacked and held to account in the public arena. My other question appropriately, and perhaps if I ask the question up front to start with, and this is the conundrum that we have continued to face in local government land, and I was intrigued and concerned by the report that came out on Friday from the LGAQ. Would you allow me a couple of moments, because you're a representative on the LGAQ, Mayor Matt?
Absolutely.
And I know my colleagues around the table have probably read it as well, but I make reference to your report on page 22 and 21, and this is in relation to the financial sustainability of local government. And again, it's reiterated again, and I'm sure Councillor Muscat, Councillor O'Grady, that sit on the ARIC committee are aware of this. Oh, sorry, Councillor Cameron, sorry, my apologies. My apologies, Councillor Cameron, that relate to the sustainability. And I wanted to make reference to the report, but I'll ask the question up front because this council contributed to the Local Government Association of Queensland cost-shifting report. And I've said it on a number of times previously, the significance of taking on roles, responsibilities, programs, projects and services that is state government or federal government responsibility, not local government responsibility. And when we take on that role, the cost shifting goes to our ratepayers. So this is not anything new. So my question appropriately is, what internal process do we have as an organisation to determine appropriately what's the assessment or what's the evaluation to determine whether it is our responsibility, whether it is our role or responsibility to be doing that on behalf of another government. But in asking the question, I wanted to make reference at this particular stage, if you wouldn't mind, to, and having been the previously in the cost-shifting inquiry previously, which was called Size, Shape and Sustainability, and I was a small co-author in that with the LGAQ, and then we saw the resultant impact on local government as a result of that size, shape and sustainability. And resultantly on Friday when the CEO of the LGAQ, Alison Smith, rightfully said that more councils are now at a huge risk in the near future of financial unsustainability. And I read the report, and I'm hoping other colleagues, I believe Councillor Trevor, you've read the report inside out over the weekend. And I read the report again, that the Queensland Audit Office annual report on local government has been published last week, and its findings lay bare the enormity of the challenge facing council sectors when it comes to financial sustainability. I won't go into the whole degree because it's readily available online from the LGAQ, and perhaps Mayor Matt, you're our representative there, but the report shows 48 councils are at a moderate or even a higher risk of not being financially sustainable, and that has increased from 46 last year and 45 the year before. So the snapshot from the Queensland Audit Office comes with the LGAQ releasing this now. We're now finding that $360 million is a gap every single year between what council's being paid to provide services. And I know Councillor Goodluck and Mayor Matt, you were very proactive in arguing our case for the financial assistance grants, but we've only put it back to where we started from before the federal government put a cease to it. So it doesn't come as any surprise, and I know we're comforted our own council at this particular stage, but others aren't when we talk, 48 are at risk. So it's a tipping point, and I'd like to think that perhaps rather than just simply going on, we need to at least, or the next council, whether I'm here or I'm not here, the next council needs to really, really consider the impact, because with 62.3% of Queensland's 77 councils now at risk of not being financially sustainable, this is again another example. This is proof. The evidence is in the pudding, and we've contributed to that cost-shifting inquiry, that we are effectively being impacted as a result of the movement of responsibilities to this level of government, and we're not receiving the appropriate funding and support services that are needed. And perhaps our advocacy narrative for 2024 and going beyond needs to be thrown right behind the weight of the LGAQ. So I'll leave that as brief, which is unusual, but I'd like to come back to my question. What is it that we currently do, or in your report, in determining an assessment or an evaluation or a process, and I know Councillor Goodluck has raised it a number of times previously, and others around the table, that we need to be proactive rather than reactive to the impact that it's going to have as a result of cost shifting, because the outcome that results in 4 years or even shorter is going to be detrimental to local government. And again, I preface it, that this council has been very proactive and we're very fortunate, but we can't take our eye off the ball.
Thank you, Carly. Before you answer that, can I start by just Reg?
No, I've asked, it's a statement and a question.
What was your question?
I asked the question at the beginning, Councillor Hanson, and I made the statement because this is not the first time I've raised the issue of cost shifting, and I haven't mentioned the big A word, and I've raised that a few times previously. And again, we take on roles, we take on responsibilities, but the ratepayers have to pay it. And somewhere including waste management, which I know that you're very passionate about, Councillor Hanson.
Firstly, I'll start by saying we are not one of the councils that are at risk of being financially unsustainable. It's very important to note that we are not one of the councils that are not financially unsustainable. We are a sustainable council, and has been said a number of times, delivered surplus budgets, and have significantly paid down debt over the last 8 years, or even further. Over to you, Carly, to answer the question for Councillor Churchill, please.
Thank you, Councillor Churchill. Thank you, Mayor. As the Mayor indicated, our current financial situation is quite stable, but it is really important that we have a critical eye on financial sustainability. It's something that we look at consistently, and we need to be looking at what we need to do now to make sure that in 5-10 years' time we still are in a very stable position. I think there's two things that come to mind that we have within the current business that assesses what you're talking about. The first is when we're developing any strategies and advocacy plans. You would have heard us talk a lot about do, enable and support. We do a lot of critical assessment around what is it that council should do in this space, what is our role in this space, versus where should we support others to do, or where should we enable or advocate for other levels of government to fill a certain gap. So we really define our strategies and our actions into those three critical pieces. A great example of that is the transition roadmap. It really clearly articulates what is our role versus where do we advocate for others to do, so that we can be really clear with the other levels of government. No, our ratepayers are not willing to take that on. We need it, we'll advocate for it, but we're not going to pay for that. The other element is when we're talking about service levels, and that's existing service levels, as well as when we see a community need that potentially it's a new service or an increased service level. And there's probably 4 critical things we need to assess there. Is the service required? Often it'll come to us as a request from the community, so that's where we'll get that kind of data. Are we the best place? So if it is required, are we the best place to deliver that? And there have been good examples over the past years where we've identified other organisations, and we might partner with them, or we might just support them support them to activate the opportunity, or in some instances we might give a portion of the funding rather than doing the service. The next is to which, if it is ours to deliver, if we do believe that falls within our core services, then it's to which level do we need to deliver that service, and that's the affordability conversation, because there's various levels that we can do anything at. We can do amazing things, or we can do really good things, or we can do what just the community needs, depending on what we can afford and what the community are willing to pay for it. And the last is, if we decide that it is ours to deliver, we decide what is the affordable service level to deliver it at, then we need to find the most efficient and effective way to deliver it, so that we're making sure we deliver it efficiently and effectively. So those are the 4 criteria that we go through.
Thank you for that. Very, very good answer. And if I could just make a final comment from discussions with the LGAQ CEO this morning, Alison Smith, I've got absolutely no doubt the local government united across the state needs to ramp this up again. But we fought that fight before in 2007, and we all know the outcome from that. So hopefully this next council, and I'm sure this next council, will throw its full weight of support behind the LGAQ to be part of that united front in relation to the detrimental damages that result as a result of cost shifting.
Thank you, Councillor Churchill. I'm going to throw to Councillor Trevor shortly, but I just add also that the LGAQ report has also been partnered with the Australian Local Government Association's cost shifting report as well. So the information has been not only done at a state level, but other state and territory levels, and has been advocated at a national level. And as Vice President, I take it forward to the federal government on many occasions. And it was, I think you said, Councillor Churchill, 378% increase since 2002 to $360-something million cost shifting onto local government. That's just in Queensland. Councillor Trevor.
Thanks, Mayor. With your indulgence, I wanted to echo the sentiments of Councillor Churchill. On the eve of leaving local government, I was staggered to read the report in full on the weekend in relation to the risk to all local governments throughout Australia when it comes to financial sustainability, excluding ourselves for the present moment. But as we all know, sitting around this table, we've worked very, very hard since the LNG boom to pay down debt that should never have been our responsibility in the first place. And the LGAQ and the cost shifting report lays the blame fairly and squarely on the state and federal government in failing to support local government. That's the truth. Like it or not, that is the truth. And unfortunately, we have been at the receiving end of that for many years because of the boom and bust cycles that happen in our region. But for the fiscal conservatism of this council and previous councils post-LNG, and but for the hard work and effort of our finance officers and our officers in general in this establishment, we would be in the same position as for the 46 other councils that are currently at risk in relation to financial sustainability. I remember only too well when the global financial crisis arrived on our doorstep in 2008-9 when I was serving in federal parliament. The then rollout of policies that supported local government directly rather than siphoning money through the state government. And the rollout of that money worked extremely well for local government. And if I was to send any message to the state government and to the Prime Minister of Australia and the opposition leader of Australia currently, it's this. That they can rely on local government to deliver services to our community in a non-wasteful and functional way that will serve our communities into the future. I witnessed it during the global financial crisis. Some of the prime examples in Gladstone where money was directly given to this local government included but not limited to things such as the synthetic hockey field, the new squash courts in Gladstone, the Agnes Water Community Centre, the George Creed Graham Konofsky Airport Terminal, the Gladstone Junior Rugby League fields, and the list went on and on and on. And with the support of this local authority and the support of federal government, we saw projects delivered to this community in a functional and fiscal way that will support our community for many years to come. The current Prime Minister, Anthony Albanese, was the Minister for Infrastructure at the time. And in a quiet moment of reflection, I hope he looks at the benefits that can be afforded to the communities throughout Australia if local government is supported further over the forthcoming years. As I say, on the eve of my departure from local government, it was a very sad story to read that report, but I'm hopeful with the support of both state and federal government into the future, less and less local governments will be faced with the adverse effects of financial unsustainability. But we should be very careful in this community because we are on the precipice of another major boom involving hydrogen, and we don't want to be left high and dry by the state and federal governments when it comes to infrastructure requirements and the provision of money to supply them to this community, unlike what happened during the LNG boom. No matter how much our protestations and arguments that we needed more money from state and federal government fell on deaf ears. It can't happen again because too many people during the last boom suffered in this community. Too many people suffered, and I encourage the new council to stand tall, be vigilant of what's coming at you, and be strong and determined to make sure that this community is not taken advantage of by state or federal governments into the future. It's a hard task, but rise to the occasion and argue your case at the highest level.
Thank you, Councillor Trevor. In regards to that, that's what our 10-year roadmap, which is now 12 months old, is all about. And I can tell you both state and federal governments are absolutely listening to it, and other councils across the state and across the nation following at the lead of Gladstone when it comes to being prepared for new industries and supporting existing industries. We saw it coming, and I think I said in the roadmap, you can either lead or get left behind, and we've been leading. And now, not just, as I said, not just state and nation, actually around the world, people are looking to Gladstone to how we're going to manage this industrial. It's not a boom as much as the LNG boom. It's going to be a decade. That's why it's a 10-year roadmap, and it'll probably be more. But we're absolutely prepared for what's coming, and the state and feds can make no arguments about what is needed this time, and we're absolutely prepared for what they might throw at us. Any other questions, Councillor Branthwaite, and then Councillor Hanson.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Mine was just a comment to support what you've just said. I was fortunate enough to go to the National Assembly with you, and I watched, you found yourself on a panel one morning and talking about this very subject and the sustainability of councils, and you end up with a standing ovation from not only, it was right across Australia. This problem is not just limited to Queensland, it's right across the whole nation. So, yeah, and everybody is watching Gladstone. I was gobsmacked at the comments that were coming at both of us down there. So it was pretty cool. I just wanted to make that point, that's all.
Thanks, Darryl. Not often you get that kind of response at a national conference, but yeah, it was 24 years in local government. We've seen it happen previously, and we're not going to let it happen again. Councillor Hanson.
It would be remiss of me not to thank you for the work you've done on the Access and Inclusion Action Plan. And Councillor Cameron and the GMs met with the consultants the other day, and it was a very positive meeting, and I'm very excited by the outcomes that group will get. So congratulations on that. And also the Social Infrastructure Strategic Plan. I note that I think Gladstone Region together are doing lots of work with this social inclusion and whatever. Are we working together a little bit on that, with that project?
Yeah, definitely engaging with Gladstone Region together, thank you. I will also pass on your thanks to the team for the Social Inclusion Action Plan.
Thank you, councillors. Any further questions? Councillor Muscat.
Thank you. I don't really have a question, but I just wanted to, kind of reflect a tiny little bit on what was just said before, and I understand everything that we have just said, but I also think that it's the perfect time to remind ourselves, and whoever's sitting here in another month and a half, that we can't always place a responsibility on other people. So it is our responsibility to make financially responsible decisions, and that's what we do in our homes, that's what we do in our businesses, and that's what we need to do here. We are doing it, and I guess some of this report, it has been happening to me for a little bit, but at the very beginning, it is hard to see a reflection of, our input. I've been here like 5.5 years, and the first couple of years you kind of sort of continue to do whatever was happening before. So now, we have things like the IDF and the investment decision framework. We talk financial sustainability constantly. We talk about return on investment. We talk about what you were just saying before about the support, that we have clear understanding of what it is, a clearer understanding, maybe not perfect understanding, because obviously we also need to be flexible. So our understanding needs to change sometimes. But we have all these things in place, and I feel that we have moved the conversation a little bit from reacting to maybe be a bit more long-term and looking at the unintended consequences sometimes to our decisions. So while I echo, the sentiment about other levels of government not supporting local government enough, I think there's also a two-way situation in which, we lead, we come up with, it wasn't very popular to have a transition plan at the time. So we were like, oh, what's going to happen here? Are we going to be hit with, oh no, this is just some other woke or whatever they call it thing these days? But it's just what we needed at the end of the day. And this is what shows. It's showing right now that we did the right thing. So for those things, I'm very happy about the fact that, I personally supported that, even though I wasn't sure about everyone else in the community. But hopefully they can see the benefit, and they can see that, CEO, our maturity happening. And maturity was something that we were using at the beginning, and I was kind of, maturity, let's just mature. So, but there's definitely that there. And even the conversations we have at the ARIC meetings and risk discussions too, which we're probably going to talk about in a minute in the next agenda item. But yeah, as in personally speaking, I can see some of my input in it, so I feel quite satisfied about that. And yeah, that's it. So thanks for the report, and I hope everyone, I think I say it every time, like if people have the time to read it, like this is where people normally say, oh, what do we get for our rates? It's like, well, a lot of things you get for your rates actually, and many of them are listed in this report. So thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Muscat. I've got Councillor Goodluck online, and then Councillor Churchill.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Might just bring it back to the report, but there is, as Councillor Muscat said, there's a lot of great stuff in the report. The day-to-day work that the entire team at the Gladstone Regional Council does. The Apprentice and Traineeships program, a fantastic program. The Gladstone Region Economic Transition Roadmap. The first council in Australia to be looking forward 10 years around what we really need to make sure our community can thrive and succeed. And all of the great community events, and a shout out to, I guess a thank you to all the staff across the Gladstone Regional Council. There's thousands of interactions, daily interactions with community members, all the staff and the team that not only prepare these reports, but obviously do the groundwork on a day-to-day basis. So, and again, you look at those community events, the New Year's Eve event. We've got staff that work on New Year's Eve. We had the Australia Day event as well, so they're given their time, I guess, to make sure that we can put those events on for our community, and volunteers as well. Just want to say thank you to all the volunteers. And I've heard the entertainment on New Year's Eve is pretty good as well. So, just wanted to say thank you. Had to throw that one in there. No, but it is great to see, and this is the work that, I think there's over 700 employees in the Gladstone Regional Council, 365 days a year, across 10,500 square kilometres. So this is all the stuff that happens on a day-to-day basis. So thank you, and it's great to see.
Thank you, Councillor Goodluck. Back to you, Councillor Churchill.
Yeah, I agree with you. Great entertainment. Now, just in response to Councillor Muscat, just briefly, is that Local government, and you've heard me say this before, it's a CSO. It's a community service obligation because we're closest to the people. So, but I don't believe we should be taken advantage of because we are at that level of a community service obligation. And I think the Babert project, Boyne Burnett Inland Rail Trail, is a prime example of how we were able to open the gates up a bit and help them, and they themselves have got on and done what they've needed to do as a large community group, and with our joining local government. So it can work. We don't have to do everything.
Correct. Councillor Cameron.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Look, just a little bit of comfort that we don't want to scare our community that we're in trouble. As far as our ARIC committee are concerned, in particular the external auditors, they're very comfortable with the performance of our council. All the managers get appreciation and accolade from the external auditors for their performances. And I think the fact that we can put together a annual budget of, what is it, 33.3 million? 333 million.
But 300 is very important.
Yes, it is. One of our big battles is offsetting depreciation, which is somewhere around $50 million a year. And with an operational budget like that, that goes a long way to addressing all those issues relative to the depreciation factor. So have comfort that we are a good, sustainable council. And the proof is that with our ARIC committee, which are very comfortable with our performances.
Thank you, Councillor Cameron. I think that's a fantastic way to end that report. No further comments?
Happy to move.
Oh, good. Thank you. Move, Councillor Churchill, second, and Councillor O'Grady. Sorry. No further questions or comments. I put the motion. All in favour. Thank you. And Councillor Goodluck's in favour as well. With the hand there. Oh, carried. All right. Thank you, Carly. Thank you, Kim. Speaking of ARIC, our next agenda item is G4.2, which is our Audit, Risk and Improvement Committee meeting minutes for the 6th of December. And I hand over to the General Manager of Finance, Governance and Risk, Mark Holmes. Thank you, Mark.
This item is for your consideration to table the minutes for the 6th December ARIC committee meeting. There was a number of items raised there, and the key items are there in the report. Probably one of the key items there was the tabling and presenting of our new auditors. So we now have KPMG appointed as our external auditors, replacing PwC. So that was an opportunity for the ARIC committee to meet with those auditors and to work through any issues there. So there was any questions with respect to the report, happy to raise them. I know we've touched on a number of those items during the last discussion. And so, yeah. Happy to move.
Thank you. Move, Councillor Cameron. Seconded, Councillor Branthwaite. No questions? Put the motion. Oh, hang on. Thank you. Sorry, Councillor Hanson.
A couple of little concerns. The environmental performance part, I'd like to hear a little bit more about that. I'm not sure whether we'll get, all councils will get some sort of report on that moving forward. I know you did, there was a report in the minutes. Just a couple of questions I'd like to ask. I might not be here when it comes back, but I think we should have a better look and a bit more harder look at where we're going environmentally and whether we should put more, give it a bit of a more risk assessment as to the whole of the organisation, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, so certainly in the environmental outcomes and the breaches here, that there generally are rectification plans with respect to each one of those, and they're generally around some significant capital investments.
I know.
Particularly in and around our wastewater treatment plants and all of those facilities. So generally, you know, as long as we are seen proactively to be outworking and improving to minimise those actions, DES is happy generally to take that softer compliance approach with respect
as long as we've got that under control.
Absolutely.
And the FTE reporting, that can come back to another meeting at some stage, but that, I'm not too concerned about that at the moment. And just an understanding of the recruitment process and the risk priorities. Like we're wanting people to work in property, we're wanting people to be getting engineers and whatever. And what priority do we put on pay rates, example, to get engineers here or to get those people that we need to work in the organisation? There are other groups in the organisation that do reporting and whatever, that sort of thing, but the critical parts, the critical people we need here, I think we have to have a harder look at what we're doing financially to pay them or to incentivise to get them here, because we do need those critical people in our organisation, and I think we've been crying out them for a while.
If I may, Mr Mayor, just briefly respond to that. We have been doing a lot of work on our critical roles and identifying different strategies for different positions, and financial remuneration is one element, but often not the main one for a lot of people. So we certainly have a variety of strategies we're applying to different roles, and one of our big focus areas is growing our own where we can, but there's obviously a long lead time for some of those roles. But we can certainly bring that back and provide an update as to where we're at.
I won't be here for that one either.
Well, we may be able to sneak it in, Councillor Hanson. We'll see.
Well, I think the governance side of it is, I think we have to have a look at it, actually.
Yeah, and we benchmark positions, and if there are circumstances where it's appropriate and warranted to provide above award or over benchmark remuneration, we do have a very strong look at that and see whether that's an option that could make the difference. So it's certainly one of the tools.
You're doing what was is reviewing the whole situation and looking at what our critical employment and our non-critical employment and pay structures and all that sort of stuff. So yeah.
Yes, Councillor Muscat.
Yes, and just to go back to what Lisa was saying, I believe there's a big piece of work on the strategic workforce. I don't know exactly what the full name is, strategic workforce.
Workforce plan, workforce strategy. Yeah. We've sort of scoped it down a little bit to what it used to be, but it is interesting. I guess what we found, and Mark Francis can speak to this more than me in more detail, but particularly with our engineers, it's not necessarily the remuneration, it's the professional development that we can fund and support and the opportunities we can provide to them. So it's making sure we have a good understanding of what's really important to people and how we can provide value. Yes, but we will be bringing that strategy back.
Yeah, and well, that's another example of some of that. That's all been pushed by this council, by us here around the table through our, when we work with our CEO to see what our priorities are, and that is one of our priorities for this year and next year. So I'll make sure I'll keep you updated, Councillor Hanson.
Thanks, Councillor.
In our regular meetings, coffees that we're going to have, because I'm going to miss you.
I won't be able to tell you what to do, though, I don't think.
No, but I still miss you. You'll try. I mean,
I'll
that never
try.
worked anyway. So.
Thank you, Councillor Hanson. Any further questions? No further questions, councillors, on this one? Okay, I had a mover in Councillor Cameron and a second in Councillor Branthwaite. I'll put the motion. All in favour? Motion's carried. Thank you, councillors. Thank you, Mark. We have no councillor reports. We might have. Oh, we have a few. Okay. Councillor Churchill.
I don't need to go first, but I just wanted to make mention that last week Councillor Goodluck and I attended the launch of the Gladstone Harbour Report Card, which is our Healthy Harbour, Healthy Future program, and I suppose Councillor Goodluck could make comment, but I bought along a copy of each one of the report. I know Councillor Branthwaite is very proactive on that working group, the Gladstone Healthy Harbour Partnership, and the Gladstone Regional Council is a very strong supporter and partner in that as well. So there's been some terrific improvements in areas, social, cultural, economic. It's still a work in progress as such, so if you wouldn't mind if I could distribute that to everybody at the table here today, if that was possible. And in light of saying that, I suppose, and Councillor Goodluck did make comments there as well, very positive and supportive comments, but I just simply wanted to deliver the report to you today, and through you, Mayor Matt, that perhaps Councillor Branthwaite or Councillor Goodluck might like to make their comments on it as well, because as we all know, this is continual work in progress. And I go back to a comment that was made there earlier, I think Councillor Trevor, that here we are, we're waiting for the next wave of whatever may occur in relation to economic stimulus, massive economic stimulus and the impacts it can have not only on our services and our infrastructure from a council perspective, but also our community and our harbour. So it couldn't be more timely that the report's been released, and perhaps leave it at that. If Councillor Branthwaite wanted to make any comment, through you, Mayor Matt.
Thank you, Councillor Branthwaite.
Yeah, thanks, Mayor Matt. Thank you, Councillor Churchill. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to make that launch, but yeah, we've been heavily involved with this for the past couple of years, really, and there's obviously a lot of measures, and it's quite scientific, the amount of money that's been going into these projects every year by all the stakeholders, from a lot of industry through the port, through the Gladstone, and late last year we put out the stewardship report, and now we're on to another port report that is on the health of the harbour. It's actually a very good report. I know there's one aspect there where the environmental results are probably not what they should be, but there's minute changes that have allowed that to drop away a little bit. But there's also studies going on by the Gladstone Ports Corporation and also CQU to do with growth of coral inside the harbour, and they're doing studies right now and quite successful. So just sort of seeing, because the likes of the macro algae that got issues with, it's not just particular to here, it's happening in Mackay, it's happening in Townsville, it's happening in Cairns. So, but here we've got the facilities to be able to try and do something about it. But other than that, the results around the region is that we've got a very much loved Gladstone Harbour, and there's a lot of people watching it and looking over their patch, including this council itself, where they've got the Urban Water Runoff Stewardship Program that relies on what actually goes down through our stormwater drains, what our runoff on our roads, and what our material that we're building our roads out of, so that it doesn't contaminate that around it. So this report is available online. You can go to the Gladstone Healthy Harbour Partnership website, and you can download this and have a good look at it. It's very, very good, and you can look at previous years and see where the changes are. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Branthwaite. Oh, yeah, absolutely. If you look on the back, you can see all the partners involved in it. Thank you.
Yeah, a comment yesterday from when we met with Shell over their 1,000 cargo. One of the gentlemen from, I've forgotten his name now, from the Brisbane office, he said, "Can't believe how clean the water is here." I said, well, you know, we get a bad name from the cities for people who haven't been here and experienced what we have here in Gladstone. So I think that should happen a bit more often. Get out of the shell and come up here and have a look.
Yeah, perceptions though, it counts for a lot.
Thank you. Any further councillor reports? Councillor Grady.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Thanks, Councillor Churchill, for bringing up the Boyne-Burnett Inland Rail Trail. So it has made a huge impact, actually, to North Burnett and Gladstone Regional Council areas, with the rail trail operational now. So Bicycle Queensland and the Boyne-Burnett Inland Rail Trail Group have collaborated, and they're having an event, the first event, a huge event, on the May long weekend. And so Bicycle Queensland actually got a grant from the state government to actually help with the marketing and the event planning of this event. So already we've got over 130 people actually have registered to come to the event. Of course, we have to bring every bit of infrastructure in, so like with showers and toilets, marquees, all that sort of stuff. So yeah, it's going to be a huge event. So if anybody is interested in coming along, there's these getting around on Facebook. If you jump on the Bicycle Queensland website, they're taking all the bookings on their website, very professionally done. And yeah, so it's just amazing what a little idea for me nearly 10 years ago. And yeah, it's sort of all happening now. Also, there's another event going to be run, a running event in July on the trail from somebody outside, that a running event. So running and running, yeah. So running as in 2 legs. So it's very, very exciting about what the rail trail has done for the community. There's just so much happening within the whole 270 kilometres at the moment. So so if anybody's interested in this event, it's going to be a fantastic weekend. So thank you.
I think my point, Councillor Grady, was that we didn't have to do it, the people will do it, so local government doesn't need to take it on. Just be supportive and help.
It would be lovely if local government took some more responsibility, Mr. Councillor Churchill, but it's great the support that we have had from both councils, and so it's been fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Trevor.
Thanks, Mayor. Like many other councillors and yourself last night, it was great to attend the meet and greet of our new youth council. What an impressive bunch of young people we saw last night. Like I was flabbergasted at the talent and obvious ability of most, if not all, of those young adults. And I would encourage the new council to embrace their youthfulness and drive and harness that exuberance, because what I saw and witnessed last night was something to behold. I left that meeting safe in the knowledge that after I'm gone, the youth of this community will be very well represented by those young people. It might be a little bit early, but I'm confident that this crew will be known as the dream team for youth in Gladstone. Gee, they were impressive, and coming from all walks of life, dedicated, committed, wonderful personalities. It was a pleasure being there. It was one of my best events that I've attended in the last 8 years. They were incredibly impressive, and I encourage the new council to harness that exuberance and listen to their thoughts and ideas and values which they all hold, and I think what you'll get from them is a very good snapshot of what our youth in this region requires, Mayor. They were highly impressive. As you know, you were there. You witnessed what we all witnessed, including our officers, and we must embrace them because they are going to be good.
Thank you, Councillor Trevor. Any further councillor reports? Councillor Muscat.
I just wanted to highlight something I've been enjoying very much, and it ties into what Councillor Trevor just mentioned. I've been watching the schools recognise their young people and how they are achieving whatever they want to achieve. So that, I guess, in a time when, young people aren't always, looked at with our best glasses, it's great to see how we actually have so many great young people in our community that don't just come to, and examples are the youth council, but the schools are also working hard to make sure that those guys that are doing well are recognised, not just academically, but in sports and in other things. So if anyone has any time, go and have a look at their Facebook pages, because it's really nice.
It is. Thank you. Councillor Goodluck.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. And just reflecting on CT's, talking about the inspiration that he got from young people, and it occurred to me for the first time, only the other day, I was called old. And so it made me reflect, Councillor Trevor, and so I apologise for any time I've ever done that to anyone. It was bound to happen eventually, but I can see someone smiling there.
You need to have a group apology, councillor.
There's a few apologies.
Thank you,
No,
councillor.
but it
Good
is
luck.
great to see some really great talent in our up and coming young people. So that's great.
Excellent. No further councillor reports? No councillor reports, no urgent business, no notices of motion, no confidential items. Before I close the meeting, I'd like to remind everyone that the Agnes Blues Roots and Rock Festival is on the 16th to the 18th of February, and you can get your tickets now. I declare the meeting closed at 10 a.m.